If you are interested in change and transformation, this video is for you. You will discover what Appreciative Inquiry brings to transformation and collective intelligence in organizations. You will also discover the key concepts of AI, its main features, how to implement AI, examples and case studies, and a link to an ebook for you to download. We experience change every day, whether small or big. What is the challenge you're facing today? Which transformation would you like to experience in your life? AI will probably enable you to envision this transformation in a completely different way.
As it often happens with AI, we will start with a true story, a real challenge about collective performance in the car industry where AI was a key lever for successful transformation. The logistics director of an international blue-chip car business has contacted us describing the following situation. Client delivery quality indicators are 25% below target, which is in the car industry absolutely not acceptable. The last employee engagement survey is showing fairly low results. The managers feel overwhelmed with the situation and short of ideas for improving this situation. And clients are starting to say that they will buy from competitors. In short, the situation was catastrophic. The director was expecting a classical proposal from us, a root cause analysis of what wasn't working in order to understand the situation and a series of corrective actions. This being the typical approach in a highly rational business and in our world in general. In fact, she was quite surprised by our proposal, which consisted of looking at the situation from a totally different angle. Instead of inquiring into why the problem, our approach was to inquire into how the forces, talents, and operational successes of all the employees could enable the organization to achieve the target. And so we redefined the objective, a strong engagement for an enchanted client. In less than 3 months, the situation had completely changed. The quality indicators went from 72% to 94.4%, surpassing the target of 92%. Employee engagement increased by 25%, and the managers were feeling back on their marks.
Several months later, this level of results was constant. This change was so spectacular and surprising that the managing director asked us, "What did you do to them?" We said we just asked them questions which are different from the usual ones. AI enables people to produce rapid and sustainable results. It is more than a tool, more than a method. It is a mindset which produces a real breakthrough in the way of thinking and creating the desired change. What are you attracted by? Red dots. In our personal and professional life, we tend to spontaneously focus first on red dots. Simply the things in our life which don't work the way we want. Our frustrations, problems, the things we would like to have more of, but don't. Then we naturally deep dive into analyzing why this is, thinking unconsciously that understanding why there is a problem will naturally enable us to solve the problem. As we often say, posing the problem well is half of the solution. We think that by becoming an expert of the problem, we will become an expert of the solution. By over-focusing on red dots, we are not even conscious of the green dots, resources, talents, successes, aspirations. AI allows us to look at things as a whole in an organization, the red dots and the green dots. It enables us to find the solutions for the red dots in the green dots, and even to find green dots inside the red ones. In fact, red and green are two aspects of the same reality, and we can choose to look at which is missing, the deficit, or to look at what is already present, which is source and strength.
Strengths-oriented approaches such as AI are not the only ones to solve problems, but they are much more powerful for finding solutions in complex situations, where human beings are playing an important part of the game. Between complex and complicated, what is the difference? Let's explore this question with a real-life story. In a plant, an engineer sees the HR director observing employees working on machines on the ground floor. He asks him the following question: how many points do you think there are for regulating these machines? The HR director is surprised and says, "I have absolutely no idea." The engineer answers proudly, "About 3,000. The HR director smiles. "Well, in fact, my job is more about people. By the way, how many points do you think there are in a human being for regulating?" The engineer stops and starts thinking. "We do not know," says the HR director. "There are so many that you can't even count them all, and they even change all the time." And then started an interesting discussion. To summarize, we are confronted with complicated matters, essentially in technical situations when the influence of human beings is not relevant. For example, your car is broken. Your car expert will be able to find a solution through a thorough and detailed analysis of what is not working. In this context, defining the problem and doing root cause analysis will logically enable to find the right solution to the problem. The mechanistic functioning of a clock or a car engine may seem complicated, but by taking the time to break down the system in all its elements, we can understand it and we will be able to find the logical solution to all the potential problems arising at any time. As soon as there is a human intervention, we enter complexity. Situations where parameters are infinite and constantly changing and in interaction one with another. The same cause doesn't produce the same effect. When you start analyzing a problem, the context of the problem has already changed. The intention with AI is to identify the desired change, using dysfunctioning as the signal for an aspiration. Explore existing resources in the strengths and successes of each person. Imagine a future which is attractive and create a way to get there. The key question for the first approach is, what is the problem? And for the second, what is your strongest aspiration and what are the existing resources for getting there?
What sort of results can we expect from both approaches? For the classical one, back to the norm, to the state we should never have left. For AI, going beyond the norm as a result of people projecting themselves into the desired future. In 1980, an OD student called David Cooperrider started a PhD research in the Cleveland Clinic, an 8,000 people organization, using a classical diagnostic approach. He soon focused on interesting examples of positive cooperation and innovation in the teams of the clinic. Then the board of directors became interested in his research, and he then started to focus primarily on the study of the factors enabling teams to function effectively together in order to be able to amplify these results in the whole clinic. The term appreciative inquiry appeared first in a footnote in his PhD dissertation called Appreciative Inquiry Toward a Methodology for Understanding and Enhancing Organizational Innovation, which was published in 1986. The foundation stone of AI is summarized in David Cooperrider's sentence: in every organization, there is something which works well and which constitutes its DNA. The development of this organization depends on doing more and better of what already works well. This work has spread all over the world in the public sector, private associations, schools, religious organizations, NGOs, coaching, personal development, consulting, etc.
Practically speaking, what are the key concepts in AI which give its added value? We see 5 of them. The positive core, the principles, appreciative questions, a collective intelligence process called the 5D, and the appreciative leadership mindset.
The positive core, it is the DNA of the organization which gives its energy and power to develop. Let's look at an example in sports. Decathlon involves 10 sports. The people who win medals are the ones who put their energy to further develop the 2 or 3 sports they are already good at. The sports which correspond to their physical and mental abilities, instead of wasting their energy trying to improve the sports in which they're not as good. There are 6 principles which underlie every AI intervention, whatever size or topic. The poetic principle. Each situation can always be seen with a different perspective and therefore can constantly be reinvented. In the south of France, near Aix-en-Provence, there is a mountain called Sainte-Victoire, and it has been painted, drawn, photographed by numerous people, including famous artists, from different angles at various times of the day and of the year. This has already created an incredible amount of different perspectives, and there are many more new ones to come. In the same way, our capacity to see new perspectives in a given situation is infinite.
The social construction principle, what we spontaneously call reality, is collectively constantly constructed through our interaction and sharing of our different points of view. For example, when we talk about cooperation in an organization, each person in the organization will have his or her way to define what cooperation means. By collectively sharing our perceptions, a common understanding will emerge, in which each person will be able to connect and act upon. The simultaneity principle, the change starts as soon as we ask the first question. The way we ask questions is a very powerful tool for change, as they orient towards the desired direction. True story. In a discussion with a manager who was extremely stressed in an important situation, the temptation was very high to ask, "What are you mostly afraid of?" We asked, "What is your best hope for this meeting?" And after 15 seconds of surprise, we could see a change of mindset becoming visible on his face.
The anticipation principle. The images or representations of the future we have in our mind are the ones which guide us towards this future. In sports again, let's take the example of paragliding. If we're trying to land on an area where there is a tree, the more we say, "I need to avoid the tree, avoid the tree, avoid the tree," the higher the chances of hitting the tree. This doesn't mean that there are no obstacles. It means that what is fundamental is to choose where we want to go and keep our concentration on this intention. The positive generative principle. Our positive emotions and thoughts enable us to free our energy, our passion, our capacity to cooperate, and thus give birth to our best ideas. And now the spontaneous question arises, what do we do with our negative emotions? As one participant in our foundation course was saying, let the negative stay in its place, its appropriate place. Behind each critical or cynical comment, there is an aspiration which longs to be expressed. There is an energy which can be generative if we only let it be expressed enough for the person to feel he or she is heard. We can then ask this person questions to start seeing the green dot which is emerging.
When looking at a challenge, there is on one side the tyranny of the negative, which consists of digging in depth down to the causes of a problem with the hope that at the bottom of the hole we will find the solution. The result of this is that energy has become incredibly low and heavy. On the other side, there is the tyranny of the positive, where a situation is right away seen on the positive side. The result of that being that it feels funny and superficial, disconnected from the real experience in the present. Yes, we will appreciate in the sense of giving value to the expression of the present dissatisfaction. This is fundamentally the starting point to find the hidden aspiration, which can be freed up to bounce and produce ideas to go forward. In fact, behind the positive principle, there's the generative one. The wholeness principle, taking into account the whole system with all the stakeholders, will enable an inspiring future to be created. By the way, do you know the 3,333 principle? In classical change management processes in organization, the management board will spend 3 months elaborating a new strategy to be deployed during 3 days to the middle management level, who in turn will speak during 3 hours to the shop floor people. The possible results of that are 3 years of the so-called resistance to change.
The starting point for the appreciative work is an in-depth inquiry into what constitutes the DNA of the system. What do the words really mean? Appreciative is from appreciate, giving value to the experience, whatever the experience is. Inquiry from inquire, explore. In doing this, we will be able to connect to our DNA. Today, the process used the most frequently for an AI work with a team or organization has 5 steps, giving birth to what has been described before. This process is called the 5 Ds. The first of the 5 steps, define, consists of clarifying the direction, the key intention for the evolution of the team or organization. Instead of asking, what is the problem to be solved? The key question is, what do we want more of? What is our best aspiration? The second step is absolutely fundamental in AI, discover. We will operate from the assumption that what we want more of already exists in the system. Team members or employees of the organization will inquire into a situation where what is looked for has already been used and implemented. The third step is dream, which enables us to create an embodied representation of the desired state. The fourth step is called design, and invites us to create the overall architecture of the desired state and to determine which levers are the most important to implement change. The fifth step, deliver or destiny, enables us to choose the actions to move towards the future in the most sustainable way.
This 5D approach can be deployed in many ways in order to empower as much as possible the people involved in the change. It can also be deployed at the personal level or just in any situation where we want something to change. Whatever the scope, Whether a 1,000-people organization or a team of 5, the most important thing is the mindset. A passionate search for what gives life, what makes things move forward and generates new possibilities. What enables this mindset is a generative leadership, which gives direction and orients its questioning on the existing strength. His, hers, the strengths of his, her team, of all the employees and stakeholders of the organizations, and of the context. As Peter Drucker says, the goal of leadership is to create an alignment of strength so that weaknesses become irrelevant. Fundamentally, the task of the appreciative leaders is to embody the 6th principle, looking for resources in the past, present and future, and this will empower everybody else.
What are the key success factors of an AI intervention? In our experience, there are 3. The define step, where you determine the desired future. AI work generates an incredible amount of energy. Which goal or intention is worth liberating such an energy for? Appreciative leadership. It is key for the sponsors of an AI intervention to have a strong belief. The belief that the organization has in itself the resources to overcome the challenges it is facing. The discover phase, in which the foundation stone of everything else is collectively constructed.
This can be applied in various contexts, individual or collective, operational or strategic. A few examples. Creating a strategic vision with 900 people in the context of a merger in the pharmaceutical business. Defining the corporate values of an organization in the financial business. Elaborating a set of common best practices for operational support centers located all around the world. Working on multidisciplinary cooperation between experts in order to reinforce cross-business interaction. Training and coaching of managers in order to develop an appreciative mindset in the IT business. Transition coaching for a women senior leader for her joining a management board. Creating an individual skill development plan for a manager. We deploy this approach in various ways. Change management projects in organization, transformation or performance issues, conferences or short taster workshops. In AI Foundation trainings, as we are part of an international network, Lincoln Workshop Series, which we represent in France and which are built on 5 full immersion days. You will experience a learning journey based on the resources of the group and will leave the process from the inside as a client would do. At the end of the week, you will know enough to experiment this approach in your context, whether professional or personal.
This training is the first of a series of 5 modules of 5 days, with the 4 others being the AI Strategic Planning Workshop, or how to co-create strategic interventions for organizational development, the Design Experience-Based Learning and Change Workshop, or how to create learning and change processes based on the 6 principles, the AI Coaching Workshop, or how to coach clients in an appreciative way, and the AI Human Interaction Lab, or how can I appreciatively look at what impact I have in a group and what impact does the group have on me. The Lincoln Workshop Series network has been created by Mette Jakobsgaard, one of the first AI practitioners in Europe, and by Jane Magruder-Watkins, former Dean of NTL, one of the most experienced AI practitioners and author of the book, Change at the Speed of Imagination. These trainings, created 15 years ago, are today proposed in various countries. US, UK, France, Canada, the Netherlands, South Africa, and German-speaking Switzerland.
Before coming back to you and to the challenge you are facing today, we will do a short 2-minute summary. Appreciative inquiry is first a mindset, a way of thinking and acting by looking for resources, for the green dots, when you are confronted with problems, with red dots, with lacking resources, and are at the same time wanting to implement a change, whether strategic, operational, individual, or collective. Problem-based approaches are definitely very useful for complicated issues. However, they are less useful for interventions in complex situations in human systems. They might even increase the starting problem, whereas appreciative inquiry will be much more powerful. We need to change our paradigm in a world where analyzing dysfunctioning takes most of our energy, hoping to end up in sustainable solutions. One of the existing appreciative inquiry processes, the 5D, enables us to implement the 6 principles of AI in a pragmatic way. AI invites us to question our organizations in a different way, in order to go beyond limiting beliefs we have on change. One of these beliefs is the famous resistance to change. Appreciative inquiry enables you to look for green dots when you feel surrounded by red dots, finding what inspires when facing a problem, looking for what is present instead of what is missing, defining first a vision instead of measuring a gap, analyzing what works instead of getting lost in what is not working, looking for aspirations instead of losing energy with frustrations. Let's end this video with you. Today, what is the biggest challenge you are facing in your personal or professional life? When you think about it, what is the red dot which is using up most of your energy? And what green dots are present which you may not see spontaneously? With hindsight, what would you really want to have more of? What is your strongest aspiration? And what is your key resource to make this aspiration become real? We invite you to continue this journey. Have a look on our website, Appreciative Inquiry France.
If you liked this video and are curious to know more about AI, you can download this ebook to continue your journey for reflection and action. We will be happy to read your comments. Have a great journey.